It is 6 p.m. in the nation's economic capital, Douala. It is 6 p.m. throughout the national territory. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining us on this forum of information. It is the 6 p.m. prime hour news over the airways of La Télévision du Monde. Tap on today's edition of the news. We give you this information with regards to the fright which is instilled in the hearts of the students of the University of Buea. It should be noted that the receipt examinations which were slated to start yesterday, 3rd of September 2019, has said must be effective. This was according to a communique that was signed by the Vice Chancellor of the University of Buea. Students expressed their fright, especially with regard to the 2 weeks suspected ghost town which was being installed by the Amazonian fighters. The following report gives its details. Top officials of the University of Buea have insisted that the receipt examinations for the year 2018-2019 would hold as initially scheduled, despite the calls for it to be pushed forward. The exams is scheduled the 3rd of September 2019, but the Teachers Trade Union urged the university authorities to push forward the exercise due to the looming security threat posed by the announced Amazonian lockdown. However, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Buea, Professor Horace Manga, said the examination will go on as programmed, saying all security measures have been put in place to guarantee the safety of students and teachers. This decision, which has stirred up fright in the hearts of many students who complain of their security which is at stake. The points of view of some students were gathered despite the fact that they wanted their identity to be kept anonymous.
I'm a student in the Faculty of Social and Management Sciences. I have 2 courses to receive. We thought it would be postponed because of the ghost town. But the rector giving this order, I'm very scared of going to school. I think I won't write these exams. I can't come to school to receive. I can't write those papers. How can they ask us to receive when there's ghost town? Our lives are at stake here. I'm doing law, and I was counting on this receipt to validate my courses. Now that it's like this, I'm confused.
I'm a level 300 student of the University of Buea, Faculty of Arts. I have 3 courses to receive, but I can't go to school. All this fighting up and down, places are not safe. How can we go to school and receive when places are not safe? I can't go to school, nothing. I don't even know how I'm going to receive my courses. How are we going to make that possible if we can't go to school?
Despite the insecurities surrounding the environment, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Buea, Professor Horace Manga, said lecturers and previous exams have gone on normally in the university, and this session will not be an exception. At press time, all fingers remain crossed, and I hope that these receipt examinations at the University of Buea goes on normally with no casualties recorded. The general manager of the Cameroon Development Corporation, that is the CDC Banana Plantation, has warned all those occupying the plantations and selling its yields to desist from such unscrupulous practices or face the wrath of the law. Catherine Kone has the details in the following report.
Management of the agro-industrial company CDC said that some unidentified individuals are taking advantage of the current socio-political unrest in the 2 English-speaking regions to exploit the plantation. In a public note, they decry that an illegal activity is being carried out within the CDC plantation. The management regrets that there are unscrupulous persons who have taken advantage of the current situation to engage the illegal sale of CDC land, while others have vandalized the corporation infrastructure. The management added that individuals who are yet to be identified illegally enter the CDC plantation and indiscriminately fell live rubber trees for domestic and commercial purposes. They warned that measures will be taken to trap down all those carrying out the aforementioned illegal activities within CDC plantation. It should be noted that the current crisis has taken a toll on the socio-economic situation of workers, as several establishments are no longer in operation, given that workers are threatened with some fingers chopped off and others kidnapped. The situation has pushed many to abandon their jobs for fear of being killed by unknown individuals.
The regional delegate for transport for the littoral region, Isaac Bernard, paid a working visit to the Bonobo-Ba-Benge highway in order to evaluate if the road safety measures are being put in place and are being respected by drivers and road users. The following report, compiled by Belvian Andite and Etienne Monte, has the details.
Road accidents are mostly caused by overspeeding, hazardous overtaking, vehicle conditions, fatigue and distractions while driving. In this light, the regional delegate of transport, Isaac Bernard, paid a visit to the Bonobo-Ba-Benge highway in order to know if the drivers respect the rules of road safety and also if they have the required documents.
Of road that they have to have the paper, the administrative document, and they have to respect the rule of the.
Furthermore, he called on drivers to go to the head office in order to have the original documents so as to avoid being harassed on the road by authorities.
They have to come in the office to have the good document because we have to sensibilize them 1, 2 or 3 months after we are going to take that document and put the car in the.
According to some passengers, the road safety control is very proper as the drivers don't stand on the road to carry passengers.
As you can see, the vehicle is full. Everybody is full. The vehicles are not standing on the way to carry people, so there is no problem on the way. So that when we leave the agency, we are going straight to Bavusam so that we can go and see how children can go back to school.
And do you think what is the control that is going on here, is it proper?
The control that is going on, the control is really proper because the way some drivers are running now, they are running as if they are going for a Njangi or they are going for a meeting. Why something can happen on the way. So the control is really proper to see if a driver is not drunk, to see if the driver is not running in the high speed. So I think the controls, they are really good if only they are not doing by what people used to think that they are doing.
Cars and buses stand on a long queue for their licenses to be checked and other important necessities of a car. However, all this is to ensure that the roads and highway of the country is safe and also to check the worthiness of vehicles and to educate drivers and pedestrians about the importance of road safety.
The far north, northwest and southwest regions of the country have been declared economically damaged. This declaration is contained in a decree that was signed by the Prime Minister and Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Diongute. It should be noted that the government actually insists or plans on using these crisis-hit areas in order to attract more investors. Details in the following write-up. In a decree signed Monday, September 2nd, 2019, by Prime Minister and Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Diongute, the 3 crisis-hit regions of the country have been declared economically damaged zones. The decisions aimed at creating a favorable business atmosphere that would attract investors and, as such, guarantee a restart of economic activities in these areas. Going by laws governing the country, declaring these regions as economically damaged zones favor any investment undertaken there with advantages like tax exemption for a period of 3 years. Since 2013, economic activities have been crippled Cameroon's far north region following constant terrorist attacks from the Boko Haram Islamic sect. The economic situation has not been quite different in the northwest and southwest regions as victims of the socio-political crisis rocking those areas since 2016. The government of Cameroon has declared the northwest and southwest, together with the far north region of the country, is facing an economically damaged areas in a bid to attract more investment. The Cameroon Professional Football League has been permanently suspended. This decision was made at the press conference which was held by the Cameroon Football Federation FECAFOOT, chaired by its president Seydou Bombo Joya. It should be noted that a transitional technical committee has been created which will be operational until 2021 to manage the activities of this league. The following report with you, Catherine Conner, gives the details.
After its decision of August 22, 2019, suspending the Professional Football League, members of Executive Committee of FECAFOOT met in Yaoundé in a meeting to examine the situation of the Professional Football League of Cameroon. After several deliberations, the committee decided to suspend the Professional Football League permanently with the creation of a transitional technical committee to replace the former until 2021. The Transitional Technical Committee will be responsible for the organization, management, restructuring of the professional football in accordance with the status, code, regulation of the Cameroon Football Federation. During the meeting, members of the Executive Committee said that the suspension of Professional Football League was for a precautionary measure in order to restructure the federation. It should be noted that crisis between the two entities date back to last July when the president of the Professional Football League, General Pierre Menger, decided to set up a college of lawyers in order to challenge the resolution of the General Assembly of FECAFOOT. Cameroon Football Association has suspended activities of the league before proceeding to remove the general who has been the only president since the creation of the league.
We now take you out of the country, giving you update on the present xenophobic chaos which is ongoing as Nigerians have taken to the streets of Lagos, Nigeria in order to protest the violence which their brothers and sisters are facing over there in South Africa. Went as far as destroying businesses or South African-based Nigerian businesses. The following report with African News has the details.
Nigerians have taken to the streets of Lagos, Nigeria to protest the attacks on the brothers and sisters in South Africa. The angry protesters attacked South African business ShopRite with stones and destruction of property around the retailer since they were unable to access its building.
We have to come here when the whole incident started happening, and we've been here. Police have been trying to take control of the place and try to also protect the property that belongs to the same people who have been killing us. The Nigerian government, they are trying to support support what is happening to protect the life and property of those people, while our Nigerian people are dying. Our people are dying on a daily basis.
We are protesting because of what South African government are doing to Nigerians. We are not happy over it because we are good citizens. We partnership with them. They own ShopRite, they own MTN, they own GoTV, and lot of it. So we are tired and sick of all this thing that's happening.
Xenophobic attacks in South Africa have left 5 dead in riots in Johannesburg, where foreign-owned shops were targeted on Monday. A recurrence of the 2015 attacks that left at least 7 people killed. South African companies in Nigeria, including MTN and MultiChoice, have expressed their concerns over the situation. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari said on Tuesday he was urgently sending a special envoy to meet South African President Cyril Ramaphosa to secure the Nigerian citizens there.
And now, still out of the country, a heavy hurricane has consumed a huge part of the Bahamas, which has left a human crisis and the loss of many lives. A great fear of it eventually getting into the United States of America. Al Jazeera News.
As Hurricane Dorian edges away from the Bahamas, a clearer picture of its devastating power is emerging. Grand Bahama and Abaco Island were hit hardest, with storm surges and powerful winds. This is now a humanitarian crisis, hampered by the storm's slow path through the region. Continued heavy rains and high winds mean the true extent of the damage may not be known for days, but early reports suggest the rescue and recovery operation will be huge.
We also understand that about 62,000 people across the two islands will need access to clean drinking water. It's not an unfamiliar thing to say in a disaster, but when there's no water, after a disaster that can have serious secondary impacts. So that will be a priority not just for the Red Cross but for the government and for the UN system.
The Red Cross says at least 13,000 homes have either been severely damaged or destroyed. Rebuilding will be a long process, but saving those stranded by one of the most powerful storms recorded is a priority.
Of the 25 individuals that were transported to New Providence, 2 has already succumbed. That would take the number of deaths to 7. And again, I want to assure and inform the Bahamian population that we can expect more deaths to be recorded.
Dorian now threatens the US East Coast, where preparations, evacuation orders and warnings have been in place for days. The storm's predicted path shows no landfall in Florida, but at Cape Canaveral, NASA has moved sensitive equipment as the storm edges closer. Georgia and the Carolinas remain on high alert, and many residents have heeded warnings to prepare for the worst.
I'm hoping that by being so early with our preparations, they will all be in vain and we will not have needed to do it.
Much of Florida's east coast remains under hurricane watch, and there is still a danger of high gusts of wind and storm swells coming in from the Atlantic Ocean. But if the track stays as it is predicted, the storm should be about 170 kilometers off the east coast, even as it makes its way up to Georgia and the Carolinas. That is potentially good news for millions of people, but everyone is being warned not to get complacent. In the next few hours and days, much needed resources will pour into the Bahamas. Even for a nation used to dealing with powerful hurricanes, this is an unprecedented situation.
And Andy sent us this update a short time ago from Titusville in Florida.
Well, Hurricane Dorian is about 170 kilometers east of our location here. It is continuing in a northwesterly direction, so getting dangerously close to this coastline and moving at around 10 kilometers an hour, which is much faster than it was moving when it was over the Bahamas, when it stalled for about 36 hours. Forecasters say that eventually the storm will take a sharp turn north, taking it even further away from the coast, but officials in not just this state but also Georgia and the Carolinas are telling people do not get complacent at this point, because you can see the conditions right now and this is getting stronger all the time. So most people have heeded the warnings, they have made the preparations, they cannot yet breathe a sigh of relief until this days-long event is over. And with the storm moving so slowly, it will take some time, and in fact it's now actually larger than it was before.
And now, still out of the country, to put an end to Hong Kong long-lasting protests, Carrie Lam, that is Hong Kong's leader, has agreed to one of the main demands of the long-running protest, which has already been going on for the past 2 months. Korti, Al Jazeera News.
What millions of people have been demanding for months: the complete withdrawal of an extradition bill that many in Hong Kong had come to view as a symbol of a much larger problem.
The government will formally withdraw the bill in order to fully allay public concerns. The Secretary for Security will move a motion according to the rules of procedure when the Legislative Council resumes.
The bill led to months of protests that have at times paralysed parts of the city, seen hundreds of arrests and regular violence with police.
The Honourable Mrs. Carrie Lam.
Previous overtures from Chief Executive Carrie Lam to suspend the legislation in June and then announce that it was dead in July failed to end the unrest. There are more large rallies planned in the days ahead, which is when we'll find out if Carrie Lam's decision will have the desired effect or if protesters believe it's come way too late. The protesters viewed the bill as just another example of mainland China's growing influence on Hong Kong, so its withdrawal could be seen as a rare concession by Beijing. Demonstrators' demands have evolved into broader democratic reforms and an independent commission of inquiry into the crisis and the actions of police. Rally organisers say the legislation's withdrawal will be celebrated briefly, but it's not enough to end the crisis. And by not agreeing to all their demands, they believe Carrie Lam has proved again she's out of touch with her people.
Carrie Lam herself make herself irrelevant. She already proved so many times, too many times to Hong Kong people that she really doesn't care about Hong Kong people. If a leader behave like that, Hong Kong people will not care about her at all.
The announcement came less than a day after a private conversation was leaked to the media in which Lam said she'd resign and apologise for the chaos if she could. That was seen as an indication that it was China that would decide her fate and that of the bill. Even some pro-government politicians believe withdrawing the legislation is the right thing to do, but it's too late.
If you ask anyone in the street whether they still remember what that bill is about, I think probably 20% can tell you. You ask the protesters, I doubt that even 10% remember. It's not about the bill anymore.
Which is likely to mean that the city's crisis is far from over. Wayne Hay, Al Jazeera, Hong Kong.
It's on this note we need to draw the curtains for today's edition of the 6 p.m. Prime Hour News over La Télévision du Monde. French news comes up at 8 p.m. with Yves Sanjo. Until then, remain in company of our many programs. Good evening.